is one of them days where I'm really grateful I got air conditioning out here. It is 106 degrees in the shade here today. And I'm indoors, not outside working, like I had to do for years, like 25 years of my life. So, needless to say, I'm here being grateful that my Patreons are here to support us. And we get to enjoy this video ad-free. If you want to help support the channel, please come subscribe to Patreon. Follow the link on the screen below. We're going to do a twofer here. We're going to do a Texas Star 350, and we're going to do a Fatboy 2-pill and a 1-pill cabinet. It's got two MRF 454s in it. We're going to do basic power wire upgrades and just kind of polish the turd a little bit on both of these. Not saying that that's a turd or this a turd. We're just going to put my touches on it a little bit, right? So what we've got going on is we got the 350 in line. We got 8 gauge coming over to this connector. I hate these things, by the way, but that's what people are still out there using them. Big wire going shitty connector. All I'm going to say. We've got an electric tape splice. Hey, as long as it's soldered on the inside. I don't want to move this around too much because when I got to looking down inside the amp, I couldn't help but notice a little wire that's hanging off. I don't know if you can see this or not. You probably will be able to. There's a wire that's hanging off the power wire here, and it's just kind of floating in free space. But I want to hook this up and run it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this Texas Star. I haven't tested that yet, but preamp is working, the dial-a-watt works, and it makes about 320 watts. So we've got the bench 2950 hooked up, which does about this much drive. Hello, 1, 2, about 22 watts. Texas Star, hello, 1, 2. Hello, 1, 2. Does exactly what it's advertised to do, about 350 watts. No shocker there, no miracle. What we do got going on is a standard Texas Star input tune. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now on the sliding scale of SWR, 22 watts going in and 2 watts coming back is not the greatest thing in the whole wide world. I mean, it's not life or death. It's not the greatest thing in the whole wide world. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the power wire upgrades. We're going to get rid of this stupid fuse. If you're going to put a fuse, put it at the battery. Don't put it here. Put it at the battery. Don't put it here. Put it at the battery. Don't put it here. We're going to get rid of this little pencil dick wire. We're going to give it a little bit of a power wire upgrade. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change this one cap. That's right here. And we'll see if we can get the input tune to come down a little bit lower. Maybe, I don't know, like 1/4 watt, something that's a little bit more realistic, and we'll see if we can pick up more watts. So we're seeing right at about 349, 350 watts. And we'll see if we can get a little bit more out of it. Remember, our voltage is set at 15 flat, so 14.9. By the time it gets down, the amp's probably 14.2. So, okay, let me do my thing. I want to show this real fast. We haven't changed the input tune at all. This cap has stayed the same. The only thing we did is we upgraded the power wire going into the amplifier. Okay? And we changed and added another piece of wire going to the back of the transformer. So we left the stock wires in place. We brought in bigger power wire, heavier gauge. Okay? Heavier gauge wire. Soldered it in place, and then just added this piece of 12 gauge going to the back of the ferrite on the transformer. We have not changed anything else. Let's turn the amp off. Let's go look at drive. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Same. Exactly the same. Remember, we're getting 340 to 350 watts out of this, right? So just by changing the power wire period and getting rid of the bottleneck in the design. Hello. Now we're getting a solid 400 out of it. And to prove my point, we'll go up here, we'll take a look at the input tune to prove that that hasn't changed. Hello. Exact same amount of input reflect. Hello, 1, 2. Now where our gain is coming from is that there is not as much voltage drop to the part. Be like, well, what's 50 watts? It's not a big deal. 50 watts means a lot. If you had a 16 pill and you do these same kind of modifications to it, it's really simple, man. Really simple. An extra 400 watts out of the box or another 200 bird. Just by changing the frickin' power wire design, you guys. I'm telling you. And to make sure it's all there on Front Street, our voltages are all the same, 14, floating 15, just like it was before. We're showing our reflect from the dummy load. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. There's little to no current going through this wire. Maybe 18, 20, I think 23, 24 amps, something like that at the most. The loss is in the connectors and the loss is in the traces and the electrical system inside the amp, right? So like a 667, you hook it up stock, you get 650 watts out of it, right? Do a power wire upgrade to it, now it's a 750 watt box just by changing the wire. Are the power wire upgrades worth it? Yeah. Transistors are going to stay cooler. They're going to work more efficiently. They're going to last longer. Amp's going to do more watts. Everybody's happier. Food for thought, right? Remember, fuse at the battery, not at the amplifier. The shit, why, goddamn. This particular circuit's got a diode in it. It's got the transistors. If it ever sees reverse polarity, the transistors pop open like immediately. They're like a super weak link. What's the point of putting a fuse right here at the back of the cabinet? Zero. You fuse at the battery and you oversize. So if you have 20 amps worth of draw, you can put a 50 amp fuse there. You got a 50 amp draw, you put a 100 amp fuse there. You got a 100 amp draw, you put a 200 amp. Then you got to go to breakers. You got a 200 amp draw, you get a 400 amp breaker. And then from there you got to start breaking them down, because about the biggest breaker that you can buy commercially without getting super exotic and really expensive for 12 volts is about 500 amp. Okay, so 500 amp, put a 1000 amp load there. Breaker. Simple. But not at the amp. All right, I'm done preaching. Let's go play with the input tune. Power wires, power wire upgrade, worth it. Fact. Okay, so we changed out the one cap. And let's see what we got for output here. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. 1 1, hello, 1 1. All right. This one's done. Easy peasy, simple, simple. All right, let's go do the Fatboy. All right, same as before, but a little bit different. I'm off the carpet tripod, there we go. So it's two HG Emera 455s getting driven by the same 22 watts we've been using so far. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2. All right. Here's our pass-through tune with the amp off. Hello, 1 2 1 2. It's a beautiful thing, right? To keep me from having to pan up here again, let's turn the amp on. Hello, youch. Ah. Pass-through of 2 watts in reverse, or not pass-through, I mean input tune. So let's go over here and we'll do an output. We'll show you what we got going on here for output power. Hello, 1 2 1 2. it performs with the Texas Star 350. Bada bing. This is two 60 watt components versus two 120 watt components. Can we say that this amp design is a little bit more efficient, maybe? A little bit more mono-banded, maybe? Just saying. I mean, the watt meter don't lie. Okay, so we got a little bit of an input tune issue, which is no big deal. And we got some power wire restrictions. Once again, but at least this is a little bit, this is audio pipe. This is 12 gauge, so technically this is the bare minimum enough. But I want to see what happens if we just change this one bead. I want to test the theory. If we just get rid of this choke point. I doubt we'll see more than about 10 watts worth of increase. The reason I say this is because this is already pretty much optimized. Compared to this, this is a turd bucket compared to this. And what I'm talking about is the circuitry, not the amps or the circuit on that Texas Star. This is much more efficient, right? We've all known this. This is like basic grade school knowledge when it comes to amplifiers. Like, man, have you seen Kimmy? We're back in grade school now. Oh, what happened? Over the summer, Kimmy got boobs. So Kimmy went away in the 6th grade, an A cup, and she come back to school in the 7th grade in junior high with a C cup. And everybody was like, oh shit. Okay, it's the same thing. So now we're doing a C cup plus a water bra. The effect is going to be just a little bit more, right? So I think we all can get where I'm going with that crazy train of thought. We haven't changed the input tune, we just changed out the one choke. We were seeing about 325, 350, right? Hello. It's about 5-10 more watts. I mean, really. Hello. 1-1, hello, 1-1. Hello, 1-1. Okay. This cabinet is actually the biggest downfall of this entire situation. This cabinet has 0 FL airflow. Little tiny piece of heatsink. Half of what's on this thing is producing the same amount of watts out of half the size of the cabinet. This box will get hot. It's gonna get hot. I know these transistors are a little bit more efficient. They don't produce quite as much heat. The good part. The owner, you out there, Mr. Z, you have to keep in mind, this thing's a little bit of a hot rod, but it's gonna get hot. Low drive, keep an eye on your temperatures. All right, let's go fix the input tune. All right, so we got rid of the small wire feeding the amp. It's not going to make that much difference at this point, but we did add, this is Stinger Pro 10 gauge coming off this connector. So, I mean, we're at the point now where it's not going to make that much of a difference. It's really not. Okay, it's just not. So, same setup as before. We got the bench 2950. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Same amount of drive. Let me zoom in so the rest of you guys can see it. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 28 watts. We're getting out of this. Hello, about 380, 390. Once again, this thing will get really hot. Okay. The problem that we left off with, in my opinion, was this here. Remember, it was 2 watts. Hello. Hello. We got the input reflector come way down. And all we did is we changed out this little cap here, right here. And that got it to drop down way low for us. So hopefully that's it. I mean, there's not a lot more to these boxes. This little thing, I built my first 2 pills in these cabinets, and I put Toshibas in there. And I had one friend that was just going to run the death out of one of these. And boy, howdy did he ever. And we ended up taking 1-inch fans, and we had 4 of them stacked on one side, on the inside of the cabinet. And then we had 4 stacked on the other side. So it was a push-pull configuration. It was pushing air in, pulling air out. And the fans we had set up so they would run really low. But then when you key up, they go to crackhead mode. Whee! You know, they made all this racket, but we were able to get it to fit in this tiny little space underneath his seat. Man, he ran that thing. He used to burn hot dogs on the end of the antenna. He would key up until the antenna would start smoking. I mean, he was not nice to it. The problem was the heatsink was just too small. It really was. It was just too small. But is what it is. I mean, deep stories from the past, right? Well, Mr. Z, you're all done, buddy. This is what you wanted, was a basic power wire upgrade. And just to check them out and make sure that they were running close to right. Which, well, they're both running really well now. I left your auxiliary remote on-off switch in this thing. I don't know what that's all about. Don't care, none of my concern. But at the end of the day, you're all fixed up, ready to party. 2 amps, completely different parts, completely different styles of cabinets, and make almost dollar per dollar the same watts. Mr. Z, thank you for letting me use your Texas Star as a living, breathing example on why power wires are a necessarily large upgrade that we should be doing and thinking about. I mean, to put it mildly, I personally don't think that you can run big enough power wire to any big linear. I mean, in my truck, my goal was to have as little drop in my Suburban from the 800 amps worth of alternator underneath the hood back to the amp, plus the lithium batteries, plus the supercapacitors. My voltage is pretty steady, but I'm using 750 MCM wire. To carry 800 amps. If I do that one more time, the next thing it'll be like John Holmes. You know, this big around wire, right? Drives me crazy is when I see somebody like this, and then they've got 5 butt splices in the wire, and then they've got to go into a cigarette plug adapter. Just makes me want to cry. But then they say, well, I talked on it like that for 25 years, never had a problem. Fair enough. Gentlemen, my name is BBI, and I want to say thanks. Shout out to Siglent XS, Bird, McMahon, Coaxial Dynamics, my good friends at Penna. Remember, Penna is running a special 5% discount on any Penna product tube if you use the code BBI on checkout. Gentlemen, thank you. Thanks to the support of our Patreons, and a big thanks to every single one of you. I'm off to go do some other stuff. I think I'm going to go play with a digital bird meter. On that note, gentlemen, I'll see you. Thank you. Click, click.